We do not know for sure several important things about our lives. Technological advances have taken us forward, but some supposedly profound and mysterious aspects are still unknown. For example, who created us and why? Of course, this question presumes that someone created us, and he did so for a purpose. This presumption is baseless. However, based on this baseless presumption, thousands of gods have been created in the world. Numerous philosophies thrive based on the concept of God and his so-called justice system. In truth, all such philosophies are personal opinions of philosophers. They are unproven. However, the stories built around God and the way life operates are unfalsifiable. That is, they cannot be disproven, unless of course you look at the reality of the world around you. If you do, you can easily disprove them. However, these illogical explanations survive because no one knows for sure, and no one steps back to analyze the concepts logically. Most people are not ready, willing, or able to do so. This fuzziness is exploited. Humans have chosen to believe in one nonsense or the other over centuries. None of those stories about the so-called profound questions has any merit. Hence, they require several layers of cover-ups. Most humans cannot question them because they chose to believe such stories. They believe that not believing them may reduce their chances of survival. Mostly, such stories were created by people that enjoyed a superior position in the relevant society. They imposed their philosophies on the common folk. With the help of the rulers, such philosophies became axiomatic, the ultimate truth. Without these crutches, these philosophies could not have stood the test of time. Fake morality was slipped into these philosophies and attributed to God. At that time, morality needed to be enforced in such a slimy way. Nowadays, the laws take care of wrong acts. Therefore, the concept that religion is required for morality is totally bogus. Coming back to ancient times, the kings and the priests became messengers and agents of God. They imposed themselves as wise and powerful because of the association with a fake superpower entity called God. It was a smooth operation. People still fall into believing these ancient traps because of generations of indoctrination. Smart people use such philosophies to divide people and rule with relative ease. This approach is practiced by modern politicians as well. The fuzziness of these concepts and the unfalsifiable nature of these ideas makes it easy. However, at the subconscious level, the fear of death is the main reason why people fall for these false narratives. From the perspective of reason, the biggest strength of these philosophies is their non-falsifiability. They cannot be disproved. Of course, their biggest weakness is that they cannot be proved. They are kept alive by circular logic, childhood indoctrination, and fear of retribution, or banishment from society. The creation of God is based on the idea in primitive minds that someone invisible and powerful is doing things to humans. This entity, they reasoned, could be pleased to enhance their fragile chances of survival. In prehistoric or ancient times, survival was on top of the agenda. Life was brutal and short, so a superpower's help was more than welcome. Therefore, they created God out of this belief and desperate need. Then they gave it power, not only to feel safe, but also to scare others. The more scared you are of death, the more formidable powers and weapons you give your God. Clever people then use the God concept to rule groups, projecting themselves as agents of God. The ruled thought that the rulers knew how God operated and were therefore on the good side of God. That is why they were rulers. The rulers purported that God enforces justice, and that specific rituals and unquestioning obedience can please him. By association, the rulers and their sycophants became the de facto gods, demanding tribute and starting to accumulate the resources. They become more powerful because of these accumulated resources. However, when it became clear that no immediate justice is delivered by God, smart minds created the story of karma for moral justice. They gave karma a lease of life by creating reincarnation, a next life for reward and punishment. Some created the free will concept as a fail-safe for the God concept. Those who did not believe in God's moral justice system because it was not evident, were convinced by the free will illusion, which shifted the blame. There was a cover-up for everything. Everyone who wanted to believe in God could hang on to some figment of human imagination that offered comfort. Different philosophers hardened their stances, stating that their philosophy was the only right one. Their existence and influence depended on the survival of their philosophy. Hence, there were conflicts. Now, why do we humans need such a complicated arrangement to make sense of life? It is because we want to identify patterns and get a magic wand that can help us become safe and feel in control. Survival is the main reason why one falls for such nonsense. God is projected and marketed as a creator, preserver, and destroyer. All corners are covered. You must go to God for everything. He is bogeyman and savior. Coercion, indoctrination, plain stupidity, guile and guise are all involved in this operation. You are left with no choice but to go to God. Why a superpower entity like God? Because there is no magic formula for success or survival. The laws of nature are the only thing that you can be sure of. Human actions influenced by thoughts and emotions play a role in how events take place in this world. However, there are so many other factors influencing outcomes that one can never be certain of how things may pan out. This uncertainty and randomness is scary and not good for a survival-seeking mind. The survival instinct wants to identify patterns and get some savior. Once God was created by the primitive people, everyone wanted to get on the God side of their version of God. The ruled thought that the rulers were rulers because they were on the good side of God, hence they chose to believe in God and worship him. They had to obey the agents. God-based groups emerged at various places. Groupism enhanced survival in the jungles, and it still seems like it does. This is not true. Peace is the easiest way to become safe. Another relatively modern approach to getting a magic wand for survival is the so-called law of attraction. This philosophy suggests our thoughts directly create our reality. It is a fabrication because thoughts and emotions can only influence our own actions. Actions influence events. They do not unilaterally create them. There are countless other factors at play: the actions of others, random chance, and the unyielding laws of nature. So many that one can never be sure of an outcome. Therefore, there is no such law that can help you manifest or create events. The term itself is a misnomer. Most of the people who profess the law of attraction have made fortunes for themselves by writing books, delivering lectures, making videos, etc. That is, by doing actual, tangible work. They have not manifested anything out of thin air because they simply cannot do so. Note that such philosophies do have some good aspects. They encourage positive thinking and empower you in your life. They tell you that you are responsible for your life, a powerful message. However, do not take it literally when they say that you are totally responsible for everything that happens to you. You can only do your bit. Positive thinking will take you forward by giving you confidence and motivation. Positive thoughts and emotions are good for your body, but that is where their direct influence ends. There is no manifestation whatsoever. The human desire for control is strong, so people have created mantras and rituals hoping to manifest things quickly. However, nothing has ever worked with certainty. Hidden behind the few anecdotes of success of these rituals, such as mantras and affirmations, are millions of unmentioned failures. This is a classic case of survivorship bias. Of course, there are cover-ups of these failures. They say that you do not have enough faith, or you did not perform the ritual correctly, placing the blame squarely back on you. This creates a perfect exploitative cycle where some priest or guru then takes money from you to teach you the correct way to perform the fruitless act. Instead of getting entangled in all these complicated arrangements and theological concoctions, one can look at life through a different perspective. This is a conscious choice you can make, a choice for a simpler, more direct understanding of existence. This clarity can be achieved by stepping back from the daily rush and mentally challenging your beliefs in solitude. This isn't about rebellion, but about honest inquiry. Ponder and muse on what you truly hold to be true. Think carefully and clearly. In doing so, you will easily see through the layers of lies often used to cover up more lies. You can then choose to believe based on what you actually see and experience in this world, not what you are simply told to see. For example, consider the concept of justice. If injustice goes unpunished in this life, then any promise of a cosmic justice system seems hollow. An omniscient, all-powerful God cannot possibly create or condone such a flawed system. A kind God cannot allow atrocities. A God cannot be nonchalant if he sees someone committing grave crimes or abusing power with impunity. Maybe God can allow the ups and downs of life, but the grave injustice and disparity in the world confirms the absence of God. A simple version of life can be as follows. No one has created you or sent you on earth. There is no such entity. You have not chosen to come here. You simply don't know why you were born where you were born. If you look from the perspective of science, you have come into being by chance. You have no predetermined purpose. You can influence life's outcomes by your actions, which are based on your thoughts and actions. You can never be sure of anything except the laws of nature. Life is a random play and it will have ups and downs. You must face life's music on your own. You are responsible for your actions, especially if you become aware of how survival instinct runs your mind at the subconscious level. Live with love and peace. Do not hate anyone if they are religious. They have every right to live the way they want. Once you free yourself and others, you will be truly happy.